I am Abby. I am topknotstitcher. This is Oscar Pepper, who I also mostly refer to as Meow Meow, and she's enjoying some lovely New Year's treats. What a party. I hope you had a wonderful holiday season. Happy New Year. Hope your 2018 is off to a great stitchy start. I have so much to tell you about. I always seem to reach that point where I get to where I have like too much to tell you and I get a little overwhelmed with how much I want to talk through. But it still seems easiest to just do one big update, and maybe at some point we'll find a better balance. Who knows? Who knows? Let me get my notes in the right spot so we know what we're going to talk about. Today we're going to talk a little bit about Christmas. We're going to talk about some amazing gifts that I received. We are going to talk about pen pals. We will talk about a few things that I received for Christmas or that I relocated from my mom's stash for Christmas, as well as a couple new purchases from earlier in December, and then we'll get into some FFOs. Well, I don't have them to show you, but I'll talk about them, and maybe I'll edit in a picture if you're really lucky. There we go. We will also talk about new starts, because I have a new year, new start. I have do I have a finish? I don't think I do. No finishes, but I'll show you my other whips and talk about my plans for 2018. I've reached a system that I think is going to work well for me. Oh, she left already. We had to trim some nails today, so she's not a fan of manicure day, so she's not very happy with me. We are also going to do some shout outs, and then we're going to do something different. We're going to talk about a podcast instead of a book. So let's get into it. Let's back up to Christmas once again. I had a lovely time in Kentucky with my family. I have a really big extended family, so a lot of the Christmas season just looks like going to different people's houses, and we're just all together and we eat a whole lot, and it's fantastic. So that was a lot of fun. It was just very cozy, very cold. I was not prepared for that. Everyone just kept telling me to put on more layers, but I didn't have any more layers. I've like forgotten how to cope with cold. So that was a little rough, but I survived with lots and lots of blankets and tea. Yeah, it was a great time. And I was also really happy because I got to come back to a couple surprises in the mail, and I also received one of them before I left. So I'm going to just jump right into some sprinkles. The first one, you know them, you love them. Those delightful sisters who every time I see one of them or see a picture from one of them or watch a video makes me so jealous, because I want my sister to be, I want us to be on that same level, and that's not going to happen. But they've said we can all be adopted into their family, so that's cool. I got the most fantastic stitchy Christmas gift from Olivia and Elena. They know me so well. They nailed it. If you haven't seen it, that's their holiday card, because they're fantastic. Like, there's just no words for them. They're amazing. That's someone else's card. So they sent me, apparently I just put all of my Christmas cards in this envelope as well. They sent me a bookmark, which is perfect because I constantly lose all of my bookmarks, so I need more of them. They sent me some cat treats and cat toys for Oscar Pepper. She loved them. I don't know where they are. She's not a big toy cat. She really likes, she has like a laser pointer that she loves, but the other toys she just thinks they're pillows. So she's enjoyed napping on them. They sent me the most amazing needle minder ever. Can you see that? It says Oscar Pepper's mom. It's amazing. So we'll add that back here to our needle minders. So cool. And then they also sent me this chart, which has the moon, and I love the moon. So I'm very excited to find a time to stitch that this year. So thank you so much. And like, what a great idea. I love just sending out lots and lots of stitchy love and surprises to everybody. That's so cool, and I love it. Oh, okay, so I got this before Christmas, and it was the best. And then when I got back to California, after visiting my family for Christmas, I had two things waiting for me. One of them I knew about, and one was a delightful surprise. So, in a recent video, Michelle, Bendy Stitchy, was talking about how she found all the trivets at her thrift store. And I've been commenting a lot, being like, I've never seen a trivet in any of my thrift stores. I think they're adorable. Like, I want to do that because that's the kind of like creative finishing I can handle. And so she found trivet heaven, and then she sent me a trivet. So it's this really cute little teapot trivet. Like, can you even? It's so cute. It came with the tile, which ended up getting broken in shipping, which is fine because I would have broken it getting it out of here. A little still life. So that is going to be repurposed, and look. So I have to find something that can go in this. But I also got another surprise. So thank you, Michelle. But I also got a delightful present from McKenna, our very own sequin queen. And it also included a little trivet with San Francisco. It's a little San Francisco crab something. Crab and sourdough bread. Classic. And it's also a little teapot. So that's very cute. This is just going to go hung up in my kitchen as is for now. And I might turn the, like just use the tile as a coaster and then put some stitching in this. We'll see. Who knows? But now I'm constantly on the search for little patterns or little, you know, little designs that might be trivetable. So thank you so much, McKenna. She also sent me a couple other things, including some pillows for the cat, also known as toys. And let's see. She sent me Harry Potter stationery. I almost missed this when I opened the box because the box was full of sequins as well. And I was a little distracted and just like surprised and delighted that I just like set this aside without unwrapping it. And then I was so glad that I did unwrap it. So I'm very excited to send some Harry Potter letters. Because how cool is that? And that kind of brings me into my next thing to talk about. Hold on. I'm trying to unpack all the things that I packed up to show you without just making a bigger mess, because my goal for 2018 is to organize all of my stitching things because they have expanded rapidly and they don't really fit in my life anymore. So I gotta make that work. So let me get that out of the way. Thank you again so much to all of you. You made me so happy. It's just such a nice treat. And thank you to those of you who've just left really nice comments and sent messages as well. You mean the world to me, and I'm so glad that we're here together. I'm so glad that I combined my love of Flosstube with my desire to stay in touch with people more consistently. I've gotten really bad about calling people. I have a lot of long-distance friends and family, and I've gotten kind of lax on staying in touch with them, and I decided that in addition to calling people more and, you know, checking in on a regular basis, that I would start sending more mail as well, because I love receiving mail, and I used to send out a lot more just general notes and birthday cards and holiday cards, and I just really enjoy that. Words of affirmation are that's my love language, so I wanted to be able to kind of up that game, and I realized one barrier to that was that I didn't really have a lot of stationery. So McKenna set me up well with some Harry Potter stationery, but I also got myself to the thrift store, and I didn't count how many they were, but I bought a ton of cards and postcards and envelopes and cardstock and stickers, like all the things. And I discovered that they charge by the inch. So you get yourself a stack of cards however many inches high your stack is, that's how many dollars you're going to pay. So I thought that was pretty great. So I spent $3. And then I also got these really nice sturdy cardboard boxes that were only 50 cents each, which was great. So I'm going to cover up the label on the top and probably change that to match and store all my cards in there. So I'm very excited about that. And I was like, why am I limiting myself to only my friends and family whose addresses I know? I'm going to see who out there in this stitchy world would care to receive a card or something from me. So I put out a post on Instagram and got a lot of people who were excited to send some stitchy mail. If you would like to be a stitchy pen pal, please let me know. The best way would be to send me a message on Instagram because that's where everybody else has been, so I'd like to keep that together. It's topknotstitcher on Instagram. But today I had a nice little sit down with my morning coffee, and I wrote out my first batch of mail, and it was a lot of fun. I'm excited to send out a few every month. I don't want to make any promises on how much I'm going to do this. I will be limited somewhat by time and postage, but I'm excited to send out at least a batch of cards every month. So if you want to add yourself to the list, please let me know. I'd be delighted to have you. Yeah, it's just really fun. It was so much fun to write these. And I didn't send out any Christmas cards of any kind. So basically the only letters I've sent out for the last couple years are thank you cards. So it just felt really nice just to be able to just like share happiness. So I'm excited to do lots more of that this year. Okay, let me see. Okay, next up, let's walk ourselves back to Christmas for a second, because my mother for Christmas gave my sister and I sewing machines. Amazing. So my sister has my grandmother's machine, which is an antique Singer something. Very basic, does one stitch, and that's all she wanted, that's all she needs. She wants to just be able to do some basic things. And since we couldn't both have the antique machine, my mom ended up giving me one of she has her machine at home, and then she has a machine that she got to take on like quilting retreats and things like that. But instead, she gave it to me, so got myself a nice little machine. And I don't have it yet because my dad offered to ship it to me, so I didn't have to, fly with it. So I'm going to get it soon and get myself a couple classes or something, because I haven't sewn on a machine in like 15 years, and I'm pretty sure I've forgotten everything. So I'm excited for that. I have a lot of dreams of making some reusable gift bags instead of wrapping everything in paper that gets thrown out or potentially reused. My family's big into reusing wrapping paper, which is pretty fun to see, like familiar things from year to year. But at some point it's got to go. So my goal is that next year in everyone's stocking, my big extended family, we have it's like a room for stockings basically. There's a lot of stuff. But my goal is to give everyone a reusable bag filled with a couple reusable gift bags that they can use for next Christmas, hopefully. So yeah, I'm hoping to do that. Obviously, I want to make some project bags and stitchy things like that, and who knows what else. Sky's the limit. So if you have any favorite tutorials for beginner sewers, please let me know. My machine is technically still new, and it comes with classes through Viking, so I'm going to do a couple of those intro classes, and then I'm excited to see what I get inspired to create. Along with the machine, my mom included a lot of different sewing things. I should learn the right terms for all of these things in our stockings this year, which is really fun. But I also, more importantly, just went through her craft room, and she has accumulated a lot of duplicates or things that she doesn't necessarily need anymore for the type of sewing that she's doing, so I just took all of her extra things, which was a delight. So I thought I might share a couple of those with you, and we can celebrate together. I also went through all of her stitching stuff, so this is all kind of mixed together. We got to go through her whole stash, which is not massive because she is a pretty intentional stitcher, but she had quite a few kits and charts and things that she no longer wanted that I got to adopt or that I took knowing that I could find another home for them. So first up, I got a whole bunch of beads. Oop, there we go. Got a whole bunch of Mill Hill beads. I don't know if you can tell, in these nice little stackable bead hive things. So I'm excited for that. I've never beaded, but technically they're called for in a couple of my pieces. And this might be the time. I also have these teeny tiny little scissors. Look how cute they are. Oh, they're so tiny. So I'm very excited because I ended up cross stitching on the plane, and I used, I only have 2 pairs of stitching scissors, and I had loaned one to Birdie, and then the other one I have are the ones I've had since I was a kid. So I didn't want to risk those. I think they should have been allowed through, but didn't want to risk it. So I checked those. So I used like dental floss, or, you know, the dental floss box to cut everything because I didn't have anything else. But now I could use those and try those out. So that's exciting. There were a couple things that my mom didn't necessarily want to stitch herself, but she also didn't want to get rid of them, including a couple started projects. So I offered to just finish them for her. So one of those is this little, I'm trying to find the chart, 4 Seasons, this little teeny tiny 4 Seasons by the Trilogy. Is that sideways? Oh yeah, okay, yeah, it goes like that. And she had started this. She has not gotten all that far, as you can tell, but it's stitched in Weeks Dye Works, and I'm excited to get to practice my variegated thread stitching. Well, they're not really variegated. You know what I mean, over-dyed threads. So I'm going to finish that up for her at some point, hopefully this year. We'll see. I also got from her another, nope, that's just fabric. I thought this was, more organized. Another one. I don't remember if she had started this one or not, but it's another little kit from the Trilogy with a little mitten and a cardinal, and it comes with all the fancy floss and a couple beads. So I'm excited to try out my beading skills with that. And that's something that I think she said I could either keep this or give it to her, but I was not allowed to give it to anybody else. So we'll see what happens once I stitch it. And I also got this other kit that she was very clear she wants me to, like, she was either going to stitch this for herself or she consented that I could stitch it for her. But it's this little, it's not a great picture. Let me take it out so it might be clearer. It's this really cute little bee design. I don't know if you can see this. This is Buzz Buzz Bee by Shepherd's Bush. And it's just really cute and tiny. It's a little teeny tiny motif samplery thing. It comes with a little bee. And it also comes with this mat board that's been painted or printed rather with the little bees around it. So you're ready to frame it. So I'm excited to make that because I think it will stitch up really quickly, and I know she would love to have it in her house after, I think Shepherd's Bush is in Utah or was in Utah. I don't know if it exists anymore. So she's had these for many, many years and just, you know, hasn't gotten to it. So I'm excited that she can finally get one hung up. Okay, I'll put this away later. So thanks, Mama. Trying to see what else. There's a lot of charts that I still haven't gone through all of them yet. There are some things that I'll be posting to give away or to sell in the near future as well. She gave me a couple random pieces of fabric. So I got some mystery fabric, we'll figure out what that is, and then a couple packs of 22 count fabric. So I'll do something with that maybe. So thank you so much, Mother, for letting me raid all of your stitching things. I'm gonna just take all this out. Make a big mess, like I said I was not going to do. While I was home, I also went to Hobby Lobby because I don't have a Hobby Lobby extremely close to me here. And I dragged my sister and looked at every single clearance section in the entire store. That store is massive. Forgot. I hadn't been to one in so long. So I found myself drawn to the clearance fabric section now that I have a sewing machine in my very near future. And everything was marked down, and then it was also on sale again. So I got a couple Christmas prints. I don't really want to unroll it because I'm lazy, but that will make a great Christmas something. And this is a little, it's got like snowmen and cardinals. Cute. A map fabric. How fun. And a classic gray and white stripe. So I've learned that shopping for fabric is super fun, and I really enjoy it, and I can already tell it's going to be dangerous because when I got home back here in California, I thought to myself, oh, I need like one color floss still for that one project. And so I went to a quilting store, and I was just, you know, I found the one color floss. I went to the quilting store because in theory it was going to be closer and easier, and I knew they would have the thread I needed. But then I walked around the whole store and looked at all the fabric, and I found the cutest little whale fabric. Ah, look at those whales. They're so cute. They're so, so cute. So they only had 1 yard of this left, so I snatched it up, and I'm really excited to figure out what I want to make with that eventually. I'll practice on my cheaper fabric first. But that was a delightful, delightful excursion, and I can tell I will have to be careful to not just buy all the fabric in the world. Because my challenge with shopping is that I get really fatigued quickly and I don't want to make decisions. But I found that with crafting things, I don't have the same problem. I can just pick up what I love and go with it. So at some point we'll need to control that. Let's see. I think that's almost all of the Christmas things I need to show you, except for one, which is from my sister, because you know, she was asking, what do you want for Christmas? And I was like, I don't know, stitching stuff, but you don't want to buy that for me because you don't know, you know. But I told her, like, I'd be happy if you just went to Michael's and, like, grabbed some random floss, like colors that you like or something, and put that in my stocking. I'd be so happy. I can always use floss. And she didn't really, like, say that. She, I think, was like, okay, I'll, you know, we'll see. And she totally surprised me with I think what was probably the most thoughtful part of Christmas this year. She remembered in my last video, I showed you, where did I just had it. Oh, I showed you that I received good intentions from Jenny, who I won a giveaway. And I mentioned I was thinking of I was converting it to jewel tones. And so my sister went to the craft store and selected what she thought I might enjoy in the jewel tone family. Right? Isn't that gorgeous? There's also some extra grays because I had to get those let me take those out. Oh, like how pretty is that? So that's going to be beautiful. I'm not sure when I'm going to stitch this because I still have to figure out what fabric to put it on, but it's absolutely going to be stitched in those colors, and I'm very excited. I would like to start this soon because I know McKenna's working on this, and I think Stephanie Steph of Pam and Steph is, I don't remember if she started this one, but I think she has. I'm very behind on watching Flosstube, so we'll see. But I just thought that was so sweet that she had watched my video, had retained something I mentioned kind of offhand, and then made it happen. So thanks. Thanks, Sis. Okay, I think that's enough Christmas stuff for us. It's getting shockingly dark here, faster than I thought, so I'm going to try to fly through some of this. Let me pack things up while I tell you a story about the Tiny Christmas Stitch-Along. If you haven't seen it, Armada Designs did the cutest little stitch-along where every day from December 1st to December 24th, you've got a teeny tiny motif to stitch. And it created this beautiful little winter holiday town kind of thing. So there were carolers, there were several different houses, there was a church, there were snowflakes and trees and presents. It was adorable. Oh, and Santa, of course. Santa and some angels were the crowning motifs. So I had a blast stitching that. I started it like a week late or maybe 10 days late. And it definitely wasn't the most responsible choice because I'll show you my progress on my dad's gift. And I definitely could have gotten more done on that. But it was just really fun. It was fun to finish it on Christmas Eve morning, and then I gave it to my mom for Christmas, and I just finished it in a hoop. We stuck it up on the mantle, so I might edit a picture in right here. But to be honest, I probably won't. So you can check it out on my Instagram if you want. And it was a blast, and it made me really excited that I enjoyed it because then the Harry Potter stitch along started, and so I felt like I was ready for a stitch along. Not that it's that hard to be ready, but it felt like great practice. Okay, so that is Christmas. That was my holiday season. It was delightful. I feel so blessed to have you all in my life and be able to share my stitching life with you. I feel very grateful that I have this network of crafters to now ask all of my sewing questions because I know I will have many. And I'm excited to delve into a new hobby. So let's talk about the old hobby first, and let's talk more about whips. Does that sound good? I feel like I'm talking really, really fast, and I could just chill out a little bit. But that's pretty on brand. I had one more thing to tell you about Christmas. I posted a picture on my Instagram, topknotstitcher, of my finished tiny Christmas stitch-along in a hoop on the mantle where we had some greenery and cranberries and lights and I don't know. But on it we also had, because we didn't put up a tree this year at home, we had this little spiderweb ornament. I don't know how to make this easiest to see. Look, spiderweb. So this is a little not folktale, legend. It's like the legend of the spiderweb, which is, I think, has been adapted by many, many cultures, but in our house, it's a Ukrainian story about a woman who is trying to feed her children and she's running out of food and it's very, very sad. And she sees outside, there's a beautiful tree covered in snow and ice or something. And I'm telling this really badly, so I'll put a link to the real story below. But she prays for a miracle to save her children, save her family. And in the morning, the ice on the tree has turned into diamonds and she's able to feed her family. The spider web on the tree. There's a spider web in gold. I don't know. Something about that she sees a spider web and then the spider web has turned to gold and the snow on it has turned to diamonds or something. I should have looked this up. Sorry, Mom, that I'm butchering this story. But my mother has given one of these ornaments to everyone in our family, gives them to basically everyone. If you're getting a gift from us around Christmas, it's going to include this ornament or something like it. And so I have one here that I put on our tree. And a couple people commented, love the spider. And in case you don't know the reason for the spider, now you kind of know. I encourage you to go read the real little story because it's a lot better than how I told it. But yeah, that's the spider. So just gonna set him up there. Okay, now we can talk about whips. I have to do a little bit of a set change here. I also feel like I need some light. Let's try this. Does that help? We'll try it. Okay. Get out of the way. Get out of the way. Get out of the way. Over here we have the basket of whips. First up I have first up let me show you what you already know about. I'll save menu starts. I showed you last time. I started a project for my dad. It is a beautiful patriotic piece. It's an eagle and an American flag on Constitution fabric. And in my mind, I was going to be able to have at least half of this stitched by Christmas. But as soon as I uploaded my last video, I think I stitched on this like once or twice after that. And I basically didn't touch it. So I got a lot done in about 2 weeks. And then I didn't touch it anymore. So I gave it to him as is so he could see it. Is that showing up okay? Yeah. So you can see what I've done. It's starting to look like an eagle and a flag. As you can see, there's a lot left. It doesn't cover up the whole piece, but it's this general center area is supposed to be pretty filled in. So I've stitched like maybe a fourth. That might be a little generous. But he was very appreciative. He was impressed with what it will look like and what it looks like now. And I know he's excited to be able to hang this up eventually. So my new goal is that I finish this by Father's Day, because if I've missed Christmas, I don't feel like there's a need for me to put myself on too big of a deadline. So I'll finish it by Father's Day. And then if he hasn't framed it yet, because my goal, is to like give him the finished piece and like go with him to get it framed, but he can actually pay to get it framed. I think I can still pull that off. So I'll go with him over the summer to get it framed, and I'll consider that his birthday present, even if I don't pay for it. So it's coming along nicely. I haven't stitched on it since, but I'm going to come up with kind of a goal amount for each month to get it done by Father's Day. So that is, I should tell you maybe some details. This is American Pride by Cody Country Crafts or something like that. If you want to know, I'll tell you in a comment. And it's stitched on Constitution We the People fabric that I got from Stitchery Express. And I highly recommend them. I'm just going to make a bigger mess. Okay, my other whip. Sorry, looking at my notes. I guess I don't, well, there are a few things I'm not really working on that much. But there is one other that I was working on in December. And that was my chalkboard mandala, which I showed last time I took it on my retreat over Thanksgiving. This is ink circles. It will look like that, and I'm stitching it as charted. So I took this on the plane, and it was my first time stitching on the plane, and it was so nice. Because when I fly, I usually have to connect. And so my flight time is about 6 hours, and I don't mind it because usually I read and I'll download a movie or a TV show and catch up on my, iPhone games, whatever. But this was fantastic because I got to just sit and stitch for like 6 hours. And it was made even better because I discovered that Monk is now on Amazon Prime, and I love myself a good murder mystery, but like the cheesy kind, not the gritty whatever. Like I don't like 2018. Well, yeah, 2018's kind of murder mystery shows. I want the 90s and early 2000s shows. So I've been enjoying Monk tremendously, and so I downloaded several episodes to watch on the plane, and I just stitched my little heart out, and this is what I have done. It was definitely slow going because I forgot about the fact that this is dark fabric, and I didn't have the greatest light. So there were a couple times that it didn't really work as well. And this is not 6 hours of stitching because I ended up taking a nap on both flights as well. So I stitched a little bit more than I would have otherwise, and it was great, and I'm excited to fly again and do some more stitching on the plane because what a blast. I thought it was interesting that out of, flying home and back, I had 4 flights total. And on 3 of those flights, the people next to me did not say a thing, did not maybe they looked at it and were trying to figure out what I was doing. But I didn't talk to any of them, which is my preference. And then on one flight, the woman next to me was like, what is that? What are you doing? And she asked me a bunch of questions, and it was really fun to get to talk stitching. Even though I don't like to talk to strangers on planes, that was fun. So I'm very pleased with how that's coming along. This is my Moon needle minder from Jen of Delicious Threads. It's maybe my favorite needle minder because if you haven't heard, the Moon is my favorite. So my goal is to finish that piece this year, I hope. And then that's it for the whips that I actually worked on anytime recently. But I have 2 new starts as well. Actually, I don't remember if I had started this one last time. Maybe I did. But I have started the class schedule stitch along from Armada Designs. This is a new SAL that started this month. I bought the fabric for it. So this is Picture This Plus Dusk 16 count. And this is what I have so far. That's the back of it, I think. So, nope, that's the front. Okay, I just can't think. This is what I have so far for January. Ta-da! So I recharted this a little bit. This is the Transfiguration class. And I was a little underwhelmed by the cat in the original chart because it didn't have a ton of definition on it. And I just didn't think it looked that much like McGonagall, so I recharted it to look as much like Oscar Pepper as it could. And then I saw on the Facebook group for the SAL that there was a girl who did something similar with outlines. And so I was like, I love that. I didn't love all the empty space that was in the chart. And I didn't love the text in the chart because I'm not a huge fan of text in my, I want the text to be necessary, basically. And I didn't really think it was necessary to tell you what class that was. So I decided if I made McGonagall take up the full height, this empty space doesn't bother me. And I like that look a lot more. So I think I'm going to continue that for the whole, well, I know I will continue this. For the whole design, the whole chart, even though that probably is going to mean a lot of creative thinking for how to fill the space of the text. Because, think about it, Defense Against the Dark Arts, if the whole name of that class is spelled out, that's the whole square. So we'll see. I'm not sure how else I'm going to, what else I'll change. I thought this was a pretty natural adjustment to make. But we'll see. I also had an idea from Heather, the Imperfectly Perfect Stitcher, to use a variegated gold. So I don't know how well you can tell, but McGonagall goes from dark brownish through to gold, and same with the rat. And that's DMC 111, I think, which is kind of like a brown and gold. I think Heather is stitching her titles in, I forget what the number is, but it's more yellow. And I don't know about this because it's a bigger commitment, but I might redo my borders to have that same variegated thread instead. So stay tuned. But it's been fun to see how else people are kind of adjusting this pattern to work for them. Similar to the class name, I'm leaving out the class schedule title at the top because, again, I think it's a little unnecessary. But I've been thinking about how I might design a different border for this. Or maybe incorporate, like make a border out of all the class names or other Harry Potter things or spells or something like that. So that will be in the works eventually. But I'm excited for this project. It's not what I expected it to look like, but I'm still really excited to get to do a stitch along, first of all. I do like that it was a really quick pattern, so I think it will be easy to keep up with and hopefully easy to modify as needed. Plus, I have it in my daily profit bag. So I love when I have a bag to match my project. I also have another new start because I decided to do And a Forest Grew as my New Year, New Start piece. And it has been so much fun so far. I've heard from many of you who are also either starting it this year, starting it as their New Year's piece, or who have it in their stash and are pulling it out again to work on. So I'm really excited to get to stitch along with all of you. And I am stitching mine on 25 count Stormy Clouds Lugana, which I think is by Zweigart. I can double check that. So I'm stitching this 1/1, and I love stitching 1/1. Look how tiny those trees are. I need a different hoop or Q-snap because I need one that fits how tiny they are. They're so little. I love it so much. I love the look of this gray. I love this needle minder for it because it seems very appropriate that it's a tiny leaf for my tiny forest. This is also by Delicious Threads. I just love this so much. I'm having a blast with it. And if you've ever considered stitching this piece, I'm here to encourage you to start because it's so nice. I haven't stitched anything like this that's like little motifs, and it is really satisfying to get a tiny little finish, especially because, you know, some of these are really tiny. And you can just bust one out, even if you don't have a lot of time to stitch. You can really see your progress, which I think is really fun. So I'm excited for this project. I'm hoping this year to do 1 page a month, and then I will finish it at the end of 2018, but I don't know if that is realistic. So we'll see. And I also am going to be changing the text in the middle. This is, if you don't know, or if I didn't say because I don't remember, this is And a Forest Grew by Rosewood Manor, and it has a verse in the large tree in the center, which says, and out of the ground made the Lord God to grow every tree that is pleasant to the sight of pleasant to the sight and good food. I can't even read it. Whatever. It's the, you know, the tree of knowledge and good and evil, whatever. So great verse, but doesn't do it for me. And there's a little verse down here that says, he that plants trees loves others besides himself. And I do like that, so I'm okay with that. So I've been trying to decide what I want to change this one to. I have been considering the rechart that Lindy Stitches did, which is with a great verse, but I've also been thinking about like what poetry could I put in there, or is there a quote? I don't really like quotes. I don't like text in my decorating, so this is my problem. But something in here, I was trying to see if, I just don't know. I don't know what I want to put. So I have some time to decide. Luckily, there's a lot of trees to keep me busy. But I'm always on the hunt for people who are recharting it. So if you are recharting it and I haven't exclaimed over it, please let me know so I can come admire your work and steal your ideas. Okay, so those are my two new starts, my 2 other whips. I don't think I have anything else to go over, right? I'm very disorganized because nothing fits anymore, and I need to get some other storage, something. We'll see. But next I wanted to talk a little bit more about my 2018 plans. I've mentioned a few ideas and goals. I am trying to not get too attached to these goals because I have a feeling that once I get my sewing machine and learn how to use it, I might be spending a little bit less time stitching for a while. At least like on weekends, I would kind of expect that on the weekend I would do like sit down and do more projects. So I'm kind of, you know, I don't want to get too attached to a specific plan or routine because I know that will just change. But I have a few ideas because I basically have like 3 big projects and then a lot of little things that are either started or could be started really easily. So my goal right now is to every month stitch on my eagle, American piece, my forest, and the class schedule. And I want to try to stick to those monthly benchmarks that I'm setting for myself as much as possible. I'm planning to like start with the class schedule every month and then probably the eagle because I really want to get that done by Father's Day if I can. And then the forest because that one's more flexible. But then every month I also want to choose a little project to work on, especially one that I might be able to take with me more. I'm trying to just have cross-stitching more accessible. Like I'm going to go get my car serviced, oil change, whatever that is. And I'm going to take stitching and just sit there and stitch because why not? So I'm trying to just like remember that I like stitching, not just at home. So my plan is like every month kind of pick a piece that I can focus on. So like the chalkboard mandala will be 1 month, maybe one of those kits from my mom. Pulling back out, I've got, oh, it's probably in here. I've got my Moon Ladies to finish up. Carrie, the House of Floss and Fluff Carrie, who was also stitching this, she finished hers and I'm very happy for you, but I'm so jealous because they look so good and I have so much left to do because I keep forgetting about them. So I want to finish those. I want to finish all these things. We'll see. I also have 3 Harry Potter whips. 2 other. I've got my giant castle, which I don't feel inspired to work on, so I'm not going to force that. And then like a Harry Potter sampler as well. And I feel like maybe some other things. I've got plans to make some Harry Potter ornaments for next Christmas, but I haven't quite figured out what those will be. I still have a sweatshirt to stitch. How do you do it? How do you do it all? So all that to say, I'm trying to keep my plans a little bit loose, but I still have a lot that I want to stitch on. So we'll see what happens. Stay tuned. Other goals for next year include sending out lots of stitchy mail, be it letters and postcards or some charts and other, giveaways and surprises and sprinkles and all that. I want to just continue finding what works for me. Routine-wise, I really like routine, but in the winter, I'm really bad at following routines because I just want to sit in bed and read. And that's okay, and I do that. But I'm trying to just find how does stitching incorporate into my daily routine right now, because it seems to have changed a little bit. So I'm, just trying to pay attention to that. I feel like I'm discovering my stitching style quite well. That was one of my intentions last year. So I'm continuing to just try out different materials and designs and styles. I'll be adding sewing and maybe I'll add another craft or something. I think 2018 is going to be good. Oh, one of my other goals for next year is that I stitch mostly for myself, because I'm so quick to fall into I want to stitch all the things for other people, and I love making things for other people. But in my living room right now, we have one stitched piece framed on the walls, and that's it. And I need more stitching completed in my house. So I'm finishing the piece for my dad, obviously, and I'm finishing those pieces for my mom. So I'm already off to a terrible start. But at least the ones for my mom are very little, so that's fine. and I get to also enjoy them until I give them to her at Christmas next year. So there's that. I don't know. I'm going to try to stitch mostly for myself and just finish things. I haven't really finished a lot. Learning to sew. I'm also trying to change up my bullet journal system. I don't know if you remember. Oh, and Jamie, I told you I was going to maybe talk about this in a video. I don't know where my bullet journal is. You can't see, but the everything not in the frame right now is a disaster. So I don't know where my bullet journal is. Maybe I'll make a flip through, talking through it in a separate video. How about that? But I did show you in a few videos ago my cross stitch bullet journal. I got it. I made a cross stitch bullet journal. I've been really bad at using this, and so I am going to, I think, experiment with adding cross stitch into my regular bullet journal, because I started a new one because it's 2018 and I like starting a fresh journal for the new year. And my hesitation with adding cross stitch to my last one was that it was already like September before I felt like I needed it, and I didn't like that so much would have to get recopied. But I feel like I could safely do that right now, so I'm gonna try that out. Because I definitely have space for some stitching stuff in there. But this has become just like a notebook, which is fine, but it's not a bullet journal. So I don't want to call it that. But recently there have been a few people posting really helpful videos on how they use their bullet journal for cross-stitching and crafting and sewing and all that. So I'll link a couple of those down below. That segues us very nicely into shout-outs. So let's do shout-outs. I have two people I want to talk about today. There are several more who I've been like loving lately and obsessed with, but I only wrote down notes for two of them, and I honestly can't remember the names of the other ones. I'm sorry. I love you, but like I can see your face and I can't remember either your username or your real name, and I want to do you justice. So stay tuned if you're not mentioned right now. It could be you. But I have two amazing new people who I want to tell you about. The first one is Silent Stitcher, whose name is Corey. Her name is Corey. Yes. She is a deaf stitcher, so she does her videos in American Sign Language, and then she puts captions below so that you can follow along and know what she's talking about. And I thought that I'm like so proud of her for making a video. She mentioned she was really, really nervous, but she did a great job. She's in school, so she was talking about how stitching is her main like stress reliever, and I can totally relate to that. I think all of us can. And she walked us through her projects, including she's doing a bunch of new starts for 2018. And one of them is this fairy coffee mother, and it's the cutest thing I've ever seen. So that's going on my list. And she's just so cute and so fun, and it's exciting to see, like, she's very much discovering her cross-stitch style, and it's fun to get to see what she's drawn to work on. So go check her out. Give her some stitchy love. The other new Flosstuber, who has already made many videos, so she's on a roll. But the other person I want to talk about is Crafting Between Stitches, Samantha. She, as her channel name implies, does like all the things. So she talks a lot about stitching, obviously, but she also sews, and she knits, and she quilts, and she does English paper piecing, and maybe she does other things I don't remember, but she does all the things. So it's really fun to get to hear her current obsession. She did a video recently on English paper piecing, just kind of like a walkthrough, not really a tutorial, but just kind of like telling us what she does and what she uses. And it was just so much fun that made me really want to do some English paper piecing. So I might add that to my 2018 goals. We'll see. But she's also just super nice. We've been chatting a lot on Instagram, and it's really fun to, you know, just find like another kindred stitcher. It's great. She also has two really cute dogs. So go check her out. I've already learned so much from her, and she's only put up, I think she's put up like 4 or 5 videos by this point. It has a bullet journal video, and it's very helpful. And it made me feel like, oh, there's so much I could have been tracking so easily. But that's okay. Okay. Last up, we are going to talk about where we would normally talk about books. We're going to talk about podcasts instead. I'm going to make a little transition because I love talking about books, and I will talk about books in the future. But very often I just have a habit of forgetting the books I read. I don't know. It just happens. Like right now I don't have, they're right here. I'm starting Goblet of Fire because I'm reading Harry Potter backwards. But I don't have my other books next to me right now, and I can't remember what they are. I can't remember what I recently read. And that's typical for me. But because of that, I was like, I know we all love books, but do you know what I also love? Podcasts. And so instead of always talking about a book, I thought I would start sharing some of my favorite podcasts, especially ones that I think are slightly less well known. I always hate when the topic of podcasts comes up and just everyone recommends like the same 5 podcasts that everyone listens to and everyone already knows about. I'm like, that's great. I love those podcasts too. All your great NPR things and Serial and whatever those are. But there's so much great content out there that I wanted to shed a little light on some smaller areas of the internet. So the podcast I'm going to talk about today. Oh, also, last year I read an absurd number of books, like a lot of books, and it was great. And a lot of them were audiobooks. A lot of them were like children's novels or rereads or really short books. Like I read a couple books of poetry. I read a couple plays. So I read some comic books. It wasn't like a million like hard literary fiction books. But I decided that I can maybe scale back a little bit this year. So I lowered my book goal dramatically, and I'm actually considering lowering it again because I know that I'm just going to want to spend more and more time crafting, and I don't want to feel like guilty about that in any way. Like this is the year for me to get really creative and make things. Last year was a year to read a lot. So I feel fine with that. And it also means that I'll have a bit more freedom to listen to podcasts because I've had a lot piling up. And I don't know if I've mentioned this before, but if you're familiar with the StrengthsFinder inventory, my top strength is input. So I crave information on anything, like anything in the world. Not anything if it's like too technical or too complicated, but I find a lot of things really, really fascinating and I want to read about them and learn about them, which is part of why I read so much. But podcasts have made that even easier to just get lots of interesting information. So I want to make some more space for that. And I feel really good about that decision. Also because podcasts are great to stitch to, and audiobooks are too, but I've just lately not been feeling as many audiobooks, so I think this is a good transition. So all that to say, I'm going to listen to more podcasts and I'm going to tell you about them. This month, I want to tell you about what is maybe my favorite podcast. It's a podcast called Wonderful, hosted by Griffin and Rachel McElroy, who you might know from the McElroy brothers do a million podcasts. So they have My Brother and Me. They have this one that's like a Dungeons and Dragons podcast where they play Dungeons and Dragons, and it's fantastic. That one's called The Adventure Zone. I don't care about D&D at all, but it was so much fun to listen to. They're very funny, and they're very creative with some of their characters. Anyway, Wonderful. They're great hosts. Wonderful is a podcast that started out where they would they would like talk about all the episodes of The Bachelor and The Bachelorette. So I didn't care about them at that point. But after the most recent season of The Bachelor, they switched and they are now talking about things they love. So every week it's a husband and wife, and every week they each share 2 things that they think are wonderful, and they just talk about how much they love them. And it's the cutest thing ever. It puts me in such a great mood every time because their tagline is an enthusiast podcast. And it's just like so cute and so happy. And they do some research. So, like one week they were talking about napping because who doesn't love a great nap? And they brought in, like they did some homework and they told us like interesting things about, different sleep studies and sleep cycles and all those good things. They talked about Hanukkah. I learned a lot about Hanukkah. They talk about really silly things. It's just really cute, and it puts me in such a good mood. So I usually save it to listen to on Fridays on my way to work so that I end up being in a great mood on Fridays because for me, they're my hardest work day. As I'm talking about this, I feel like I've already told you about this. Have I? I hope not, but if not, then I'm going to tell you again. Fridays are my hardest day at work because they're the day that I'm usually like in meetings or I'm facilitating. So it's a pretty intense day. And I have a pretty bad attitude about it most times. But I listen to Wonderful on my drive and it just puts me in the best mood and it's just so cute and so happy. So I highly recommend that you check it out. It'd be really fun to stitch to. It's a great commuting one because they do like, 4 little segments. So it goes pretty quick, but it's easy to kind of break off and come back to later. It's just really cute. So please go check it out. And with that, I think that we are done rambling. I hope that you enjoyed this. I feel like because my room is so messy right now, I just feel like really out of sorts and I'm so excited to get this place organized and come back at you later with my full brain ready. So stay tuned. I'm going to post a couple. Oh, I left out a whole bag of things to show you. I won't go through all of it, but I totally forgot. Oh my goodness. Oh, here's one of my cat toys. Well, not my cat toys. I totally forgot to show you that I'm going to do this really quickly because I'm going to do a couple flip through videos of these, but I wanted to just show you really quickly. I saw Drew Weasley had gotten this book, which is from the Hirschner's website, A Cross Stitch Christmas, and he was talking about how great some of the designs were. He showed a few. It was only $5 online, and I was like, I can justify that. So I went online to buy it, and I saw they had another book. Ta-da! This one is, so this one is called A Heartwarming Holiday, and this one is called Handcrafted Moments. And they were both $5 on the Hirschner's website, and I think with shipping I paid like $8 each. They were sold out for a while, but I think I saw that they're back now. No guarantees on that, but I'll put the link below. They're a great deal, and you get a lot of really, really cute patterns. So I'm going to pick out a lot of things that I want to stitch for Christmas next year. Home Study on the Home Front, I'm so bad at remembering names. I'm so sorry. Home Study on the Home Front, who's fantastic. If you haven't watched her, go check her out. She did a flip through of this one a few videos ago, and then Drew showed some of this one. But if that's not enough for you, I'm going to do a flip through video sometime this month. Hopefully while these are still available. So that was a lot of fun to look through and add to my collection. And I also picked up a couple cross-stitcher magazines because I went to Joann to get a hoop and they didn't have a hoop, but they did have these, which were hiding behind all the sewing magazines, which was so rude, but I happened to look through them because I have problems browsing now. But this is November and December, no, November and September, which I think they had a few other months, but I ended up putting them back because both of these had things on the cover that I liked and wanted to stitch, or things on the back. Oh, This is why I bought this. Do you see this like Bethlehem scene? It's gorgeous and I want to stitch it. Let me show you. Hold on. Don't know where it is. I actually think the pattern I like most in both of these is the one that's like the Stitch Around the World, or what is it called? Cross Stitcher Marketplace. No, that's the ad thing. Well, whatever it is, it's in the same section in both of them. I think, see if this has like a name to it. Create a Classic? I don't know. But look how beautiful that is. So this is Star of Wonder in the November 2017 issue, and I am desperate to stitch that because I think it's beautiful. Christmassy, but biblical and not ugly. That's my criteria. And if you look really closely in the pattern, you can see this, I think, is the stable. So there's a little Mary and Joseph and the shepherds, and then here come the wise men. So cool. So I bought that, and then in this one, I liked the similar pattern that had, it's what I'm calling Cross Stitch Around the World, because they're both like, I don't know, whatever. Look at those elephants. Well, it's just one elephant, but they stitched it. Hold on. They made a pillow with both of them. How cute is that? So lately I'm very into these jewel tones, and I think that's why this caught my eye so much. I don't know if I'll stitch that anytime soon, but I thought it was really pretty. These have a lot of really great ornaments and small pieces, which I'm trying to experiment with more because I think that would be fun to get more finished things up and about, but I'm hoping I'm going to look back through these and look for something that might fit in a trivet. So I'm excited for that. They also both came with free kits that I don't know what I did with them, but there's a little ornament and a little needle book, so I'm excited to make those. And with that, I've now talked about everything. So thank you for joining me. Be on the lookout. There might be a flip through video of some kind coming at you later this month. Who knows? And if not, I'll see you in February. I hope you have a wonderful month and that you get to stitch all of the things, and I'll see you next time.